Hello, welcome to What's the Force Stars podcast. My name is Phill, of course. I'm joined, as usual, by Dave and George for our Mandalorian discussion. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello there.
Good evening.
And how are we doing in this fine, cold November Eve?
Very well.
It's a little bit chilly.
It's about
I may not be in. I may not be in the soberest of headspaces, but hey, we're gonna have a good time talking about Mandalorian.
It's all right. We've all been there, all done that. So I'm recovering myself, so it's all fine. So episode 4. This is Sanctuary. Thoughts on a whole before we go into the episode, before we go into detail. Just general thoughts before we go into it.
I really enjoyed this episode. I took a lot out of it. I thought this was as close to a live-action Clone Wars episode as we've ever had. I'll go on that maybe a little bit later when we get to it, but that was my feeling. I really liked it because that's how I felt about the episode.
Yeah, George?
I didn't mind it. It felt very filler. The more I've thought about it, the more I've liked it, but it wasn't what I was expecting for such a short series. However, that doesn't need to sound as negative as it does. There's plenty of positives, and I will get to them because there is an overarching story point, which I think tied this episode together.
Yeah, agreed on both those. I love the episode. I mean, I have problems with it, and we definitely will get into those as we go along. But on the whole, really enjoyed it. And again, it's just one of those episodes where, yes, it's filler, but there is story to it, there is substance, and it makes me more excited for what we have to come. Although, we are already halfway through, which is just scary to think of. We already had 4 episodes, we've got another 4 to go. But we might as well crack into it. First point, gentlemen, let's talk about the story in general for this particular episode. There wasn't really a huge amount of substance to this episode in terms of the actual full storyline didn't move on very much. However, I thought for a filler episode, you still had. I mean, George, you brought up a good point in our pre-show about. Well, how about how they are moving forward, how they just can't find safety? I want you to talk to us about that.
Yeah, so when I kind of said that a minute ago, that's what I kind of aimed at. So I messaged you guys after like, this is feeling very filler. And that vibe right until the last 2 minutes. Well, I can obviously discuss the ending, but obviously there's essentially they kind of make out that, oh yeah, they've now been here for a few weeks, everything's hunky-dory, he might take his helmet off. They're all living comfortably in the middle of nowhere, no one can find them. Enter bounty hunter, enter threat on Yoda, and the knowledge that, oh, okay, they found us, there's a bounty on us. I think that was the most important part of this episode because this episode was almost them trying to have that new life vibe, I want to say. However, the point of the ending demonstrates that no, it doesn't matter where you are. Someone's going to find you, someone's going to try and kill you or Yoda or whatever. And that to me is this episode that he now knows this. So I'm assuming that he's going to have to address this. There can't be that hiding away in safety. Someone's going to get him eventually. And here we are. He's jetting back off to find somewhere new.
Yeah, agreed. Dave?
I liked the episode as a whole. And I think you're right on that purpose that, yes, it was kind of a filler for that reason. But then I tracked back to that. I really liked it because it felt like if you replace the 2 main characters with Ahsoka and Anakin, this could have been a perfect Clone Wars episode.
Well, you say that. You can. There is an episode of the Clone Wars where they have to protect farmers and teach them how to defend themselves. This is a carbon copy of that episode.
Even the training montage is the same. Was it the Saw Gerrera episodes? It wasn't, was it?
I think it might be the first Saw Gerrera episodes they got.
No, it wasn't on Onderon. No, this was a farming one. This was a literal carbon copy. No, though they did do a training montage for the Saw Gerrera episode in Onderon, but it was a different one because it was all city fighting and all the rest of it. Whereas this was a complete farming one. So this one again was a complete carbon copy. What episode? What series? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I didn't feel it was a carbon copy. I just felt it did have a very much a Clone Wars vibe, and I felt like going in that if it was a Clone Wars episode, I would have loved it too. The filler side of it, yes, it was nice to get them to a new planet, somewhere different. Obviously, meeting Cara Dune as well was great. And there was some action. I loved everything with the ATST. I loved how they played that as well. And I love the fact that, I don't know if the hit is out on The Mandalorian or if the hit's still out on Baby Yoda. Because the way he... because he searched his sights, and he obviously in his sights, he went right for the head of Baby Yoda towards the end of the episode.
I'm assuming that they'll know that Mandalorian has the bounty and hasn't returned it. Because obviously, whenever they get the bounty pucks, they're told, "Oh, this is what he's done." So I'm assuming there'll be one on Yoda, and it'll be like the Mandalorian's with him, and no one knows where they are. So that I really enjoyed. I liked the sort of the peacefulness of it. But you mentioned the ATST. One thing I was very happy with was that because it was in the trailers, there was merchandise, the Legos, vintage series, whatever. The beauty of this series is that, again, I now can't think of anything that's been shown in marketing we've not seen except Gus from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like ATST was that final. I was in the shop last week and I saw it. I was like, oh, I forgot this is in it. This is ruined.
I mean, even the planet they were flying over in the trailers is Sorgon, so now we've had that out of the way as well. So we now know that whatever location we see next will be a surprise.
And that's to me a big part of it. But the ATST, I'm not to jump ahead to that. What was your thoughts on the opening? Because the opening scene felt like Lord of the Rings, like when the orcs are like pillaging villages. I know that we've only really seen the platoon on more episode 6. Sort of, I always think Jabba's so bad, but did not mind anybody of like Lord of the Rings. Like, could they?
Oh, very, very much so. Very much so.
The marauding creatures coming through any sort of village like that are always going to harken back to that immediately. If you've seen those movies, it's going to literally take you back to that. It's visually was very similar.
So Robin, as per usual, has corrected me. It was Hondo's first episode, and it was set on Felucia. There we go. I knew it wasn't the Onderon one, so I couldn't remember what it was until the episode, but there we go. So it did feel very Lord of the Rings. It felt very much, especially with the fog over the marsh as well, them coming through it, as the poses, the kind of the music, it had that feel, but it didn't feel like a rip-off. It just felt like an homage. I thought that was kind of really cool. And then, of course, we get into the hilarity of this.
I've got to say, for me, yeah, Baby Yoda was the absolute standout of this issue. The character has grown from, yes, he's cute to look at, but he was doing things in this episode that made it even better. I think before we came on air, I alluded to when he got given the soup while he went to talk outside to Cara Dune, and he was like, look after the kid. And then all you hear from behind them when they're in deep in conversations is the slurping noise as he finishes off that soup, and he's just stood there looking, I love this character so much.
Yeah. Well, it's the same, of course, when they land and it's just this stay. Like, no, okay, you're going with me, fine. Just don't get into any trouble.
That's what made it. I think that was important with this too, though. We know that this series is now not just Mandalorian, it's like Yoda, Mandalorian brackets plus Yoda. Like, it's a father-son drama, whatever you want to say, guide. And it's important. And ultimately, he's trying to protect him. And although I kind of said it's Phill, this episode, if any, felt the most sort of paternal for him, where he wants to leave him with the children. It's going to be a good life for him. And you learn more personal stuff about the Mandalorian in this than any other episode. Albeit filler, it reminded me of the fly from Breaking Bad, where people say it's a filler episode, but it had the most important moment of the entire show with the final shot, if anyone ever seen Breaking Bad. But it felt like that sometimes with filler comes important story beats, and I think this addressed that.
It's changed so much the plot line from the Mandalorian bounty hunter to how he has fallen into that father role with the Baby Yoda. I wasn't expecting that, even when the Baby Yoda came into it, that's how his role would change. I still expected a bounty hunter more towards him and the bounty hunting. I did not expect him to take up this role and mantle of a substitute father for this, and then the safety of this creature being the thing that became most important to him. So I think it's taken a nice turn with that.
Well, it's the whole begrudging guardian angel archetype that he's just been forced upon him, but he doesn't want to cause any harm. But the nice way they've done it, although yes, Baby Yoda the child has these moments of hilarity, they are funny, but they don't feel they break up the story. They feel as though it doesn't distract from what the actual episode is or where it goes. I think they're placed rather well. And I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard directed this episode, and I thought she did a fantastic job with the pacing, again, like the last 2 episodes, and also with those placements of, yes, comedy, but in a way that it always seemed to link on to what was happening next, and I thought it was really well done.
I didn't realize it was her directing, obviously, until you see the title card at the end. I thought, again, going back to the ATST, I thought that was done really well with how hidden they kept it. And even though they mentioned it was the ATST,
I felt it was very Jurassic World, very Jurassic Park, and then afterwards, seeing her, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see why it was done like. However, I loved how it was kept like that.
Yeah,
That kind of, yes, we knew what it was going to be from watching the trailers, but at the same time, just the red glowing from the inside of the cockpit to just how it came out of the trees to everything that was going on. It was placed very well. It felt, I can't remember which Bond film it is, but it was where they had the tank on the island. It gets painted up to be this kind of dragon, the whole mythos surrounding it, and these people who don't really, well, they know where a walker is, but they don't know what's cool, they don't know what it is, they just know that it's big, it's scary, and it shoots you, and it felt very much like that.
Yeah, I think with what I think the ATST helped was that obviously we know more so via the match in the episode that this was like not done up, but you know they customed it, and those red lights in the eyes gave it a very weird forest look to it, which I quite liked, and it reminded me a lot of the AT-ATs in Rogue One.
Yeah.
When they emerged from the forest, and that was a big part. And the other thing with ATSTs is that they didn't hide away from the fact these are deadly machines. You know, they said, you know, we're leaving, we're not helping you out, we're not going to bother doing this. So I'm assuming these guys probably thought that it was Empire people that were stationed there because they're an ATST.
Yeah.
You know, Cara Dune and Mandalorian, their experience, they both know their stuff. And there was that moment that felt very sort of marvelly when they're having that talk with the locals about, oh, we're not doing the job, oh, we're not. No, like not. There was no criticism. It just felt like mother. You know, go back to episode 1, that blue alien at the start. You know, it didn't feel like Star Wars. It, not that this is a criticism, but it felt so different to what you normally expect. Whenever that comes down to it being TV, and we're not used to seeing that in Star Wars.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Yeah, and the ATST, I say, going back to like what Phill said, like the Jurassic Park sort of thing. I mean, you saw the footprint first as well. And I noticed it. It's amazing how they were terrified of the ATST, yet Ewoks were quite happy to just jump in and go against them.
It's the devil you don't know, I guess, for them. It was a case of, oh, let's just fire logs. And I was, when they talk about building the trap, when they talk about kind of how they're going to take it down, I was half expecting, when they talk about taking down trees, like, are they going to build a log trap? Are they going to try that? I was half expecting that to be the case. I mean, I'm glad they didn't go down that road. I'm glad they went with the pitfall and also the peril that they didn't quite get it to step into it for quite a while. I liked that. However, I did think the trap was going to come there. Yeah, Doctor No, the first one. There we go. That's again, Robin. He's always correcting me. That's how it goes. Either corrects me or helps me remember certain things. But yeah, I thought it felt a bit like that. Cara Dune. I want to talk about Cara Dune. Very interested about her character. I mean, I love the fact that she was a shock trooper in the Rebellion, connects to Joss C. Stryker from the Aftermath trilogy, which I know you just got, Dave. Trust me, worth it. And it's also just cool to find out more background from more people, where they come from in the galaxy. Again, that whole bit of how she turned from fighter into protector and how she didn't sign up for that. These little bits of background here and there that add more to the universe, and I really like that.
It was nice that they had these moments and they explained her, not even like origin, didn't need that, but you know, she has a fist fight with Mandalorian, she batters him. And we know she's a shock trooper because we followed the production of this show. People won't. So they'll want to see why. And, you know, oh, I was protecting, you know, important people, this, that, the other. Get a little bit of politics, which is good to know where the galaxy's at this point in the series. And it, you know, she's right. It wouldn't have made sense for a character to have sat there, but I'm more intrigued to know why the bounty is on her, because there is a bounty on her, and I don't think it'll be for going AWOL on the New Republic because they're not that kind of people. So I reckon she will crop up again. But she was a welcome addition, and you know, although she said, you know, well, until we meet again, it didn't feel like one and done, and I don't think that she's also one and done. I think she'll be back.
And I just love how powerful she was as well. I mean, she fought the Mandalorian, and him being armor-plated, she took some massive punches to him. He was up against it with her. She was no pushover for him to fight. I mean, the end of it, they both had to draw blasters on each other, but it was really nice. She was such a strong character. She was really laying into him.
It is. I mean, Gina Carano played Angel in Deadpool as well. We've seen her play these stronger roles, and I like that. It's a different role for women out there, and I again love that she took over command when it was with the training the villagers, when she was like, okay, this is what you need to do, this is how you're going to do it, I will train you, I will help you do this. Mando took over blasters, she took over the fighting. I mean, I haven't got the screen down here, but I did love it how she had to go, yep, you turn him, you just stick with the pointy end.
It reminded me a lot of Hobbs and Shaw, if anybody seen that. Like the final like half hour is them like just training all the locals. It was exactly like that.
Fair enough. I have not seen it, and I probably will not, because I liked Fast and Furious for the cars, and then it kind of became not about cars.
Oh, if you don't watch a movie with The Rock in, that's just, I can't help you.
Imagine if the Rock was the ATS. It was just like a giant thing.
It's The Rock coming out of there. Oh, I'd pay to see that. Oh, amazing. I love The Rock.
Dude, well, we've paid to see this, so we have done. We've paid in our flights.
Yes. And it's, I was really happy as well that we got a bit of a longer episode as well with a bit more story to tell. And when I say story, I did like the whole, not love interest, but you could kind of see it going that way. Had he been able to stay, that was where his intentions, or her intentions, certainly would lie. She seemed smitten from the moment the Mandalorian walked in to the camp.
Granted, I've never seen his face too.
Yeah?
Like, you know, right, sorry, I know I've said. Do we think he's going to reveal his face by the end of the season finale?
No.
No.
I don't think so, no.
I think we're going to see it, and I think it's going to be like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, where he gets battered to the point of mask comes off.
Really? Okay, it would be an interesting take, but I thought the most we'd see his helmet off would be that episode. It was off for a time, and that's enough for me.
Also, you know, if he took it off and was watching the kids out the window.
Yeah.
Are the kids allowed to see his face then? Like, how does the Mandalore thing work? Dear lady,
he says in the episode, once it's off and someone sees his face, he can't put it back on, I believe is the line. He says he can't.
Yeah.
And then he's like chilling having his lunch, just watching them play. That's what I'm not confused by, but I didn't know if there was some like other hidden lore in there.
How else could he eat? He'd have to take that off. You couldn't shove a cracker up there. That would be just crumb central.
Oh, no, it's more than like looking at the window, like everyone's there. Like, wouldn't they have just seen him?
I don't know if you're meant to maybe think that it's just, when you're off in the distance and you're kind of in a darker room, so if anyone looked that way, you really wouldn't see.
I think that's more supposed to be the point of it.
Like, it's further back than would allow generally for anyone to be able to see what his face looked like, and that it'd just be a shadow to them.
However, these last two episodes really have opened up a giant plot hole with the Clone Wars and Rebels, where the Mandalorians consistently take off their helmets.
They do a lot in the Clone. I'll give you that in the Clone. They do
Clone Wars and Rebels. Sabine constantly without hers, her family constantly without theirs. Gar Saxon and the Imperial ones again without theirs. All the named characters at some point have their helmet off, talking to people.
It could be a different
Pre-Vizsla as well.
I feel it's a different clan though.
It might be, but I think they'd have to establish that to kind of fix the loophole that's happened here, because the plot hole that's happened here, because it is kind of dividing people on what the law is, and it is very confusing. Robin's saying here, you think you see his face from one of the trailers? I have not seen it in any trailer at all.
Seen Pedro's face. If they do reveal it, I'm so excited to see people that don't know who Pedro Pascal is, to see their reactions to his normal face. Yeah,
it would be a very interesting take to see if he does reveal himself. And you're right, he may well. Now we've seen his helmet does come off, and for him, especially just to eat. I mean, I would guess it'd have to eat unless he has smoothies all the time. But it's an interesting take if we are going to see his, like you say, his face. And obviously, I don't think it would be the face we expect. Like we've seen him, obviously, he just hangs around. He looks. I would say I think you're right. I think we see a really battered, bruised, scarred up older man, sort of like a real been through a lot face.
His leftovers from Game of Thrones. That face.
Yes, that face. That's what we get to see, and I think it's a really interesting take, because he mentioned in the episode as well that was the Mandalorians that took him in. So what we also know now is that he is not from Mandalore. He is not a born Mandalorian. He joined them when he was taken in by them
as a foundling. Yeah,
which I'm guessing is then leads back to maybe the last episode, by who we'll see when those doors, when that battle droid, when that gets moved out of the way or blasted out of the way, we will see a Mandalorian. Now, I do think when that's smoke clears.
Thought. I think it also may start to clear up Jango Fett. He was not a Mandalorian. It's been said he's not a Mandalorian. This could be a way he could become a Mandalorian, but not be a Mandalorian. That makes sense.
I think we're going to see Bo-Katan save him. I think
that would be a nice pull.
I'm convinced it's going to be Katie Sackhoff. I'm sure she's got a cameo in this series at some point. I think it's going to be her. I said to you on message this week, an amazing but terrible idea. It would be rubbish if this had happened, but had it have been the real Yoda that saved him,
Yeah.
You're not the only person to message me with that theory as well. Another mate of mine messaged me with that exact theory. I'm like, no, I don't think it will be purely because, again,
too big a name to drop in something like this as well. It makes the universe smaller.
It is, and
Yeah.
also when, in the second episode, when it has the Mudhorn, he doesn't know what the Force is. How can you be saved by Jedi and not know what the Force is? Is that kind of too much? I mean, I think until people talk about that being his affinity for the child being because it's a baby Yoda, he may have been saved by Yoda. Or no, I think it's the foundling connection.
Yeah, no,
he was a foundling. He was saved. He is saving him. It's that kind of connection, and that's what I think, anyway.
I think George could be absolutely spot on. I think definitely a Mandalorian Sid and Phil. I think you're right with that, and I think Bo-Katan will be an excellent pull for that to be the person who brought him into the actual Mandalorian fold. But I did love that it was just kind of thrown out there as just part of his backstory, and it's building with each episode that we've seen him at his beginning, and obviously in the middle of the Clone Wars when that's all going on. Now knowing that that wasn't him on Mandalore trying to run anywhere, he was just a kid on a planet. I don't know if we'll find out any more than that. But to know that the Mandalorians are the people who took him in and made him what he is, and how proud he also seems to be part of the clan he's in, and that he's so proud of where that Mandalorian are because of how they treated him. I really, really like that side of the story.
Agreed. I think it just adds more to the background of either you're a born Mandalorian or you become Mandalorian. But either way, once you're a Mandalorian, you're a Mandalorian. I think we'll then start to. That's why I started talking about Jango Fett. I think we'll start to unravel that mystery of how he could have got his armor. It could be, yes, he was a taken in Mandalorian. Boba Fett really isn't a Mandalorian in any way, shape, or form. He just has the armor because he was trained as a bounty hunter by Aurra Singh and Bosk and all the rest of it. So he really has no connection there at all. But it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Again, want to continue on talking about the episode here. So talk about more about his origin, though. I, again, agreeing with it. It could be Bo-Katan, it could be a number of Mandalorians, but again, do we then think we will see the Siege of Mandalore or any Clone Wars reference beyond that?
I don't think it'll be a reference to Siege of Mandalore. I think we'll get some more info on. We've been told so many times what the Empire's done across various canon. I think we'll get another story about what they've done, perhaps. Specifically to Mandalore, I think not. I think this might have been a passing planet to which he was saved by Mandalorians on. I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more about the lore of what the Empire did to them, especially when more Empire personnel come into it.
I think we're going to kind of get a lot of the backstory, especially in the Clone Wars next year when we get the Ahsoka arc. When we get that sort of the end of that Mandalorian of Darth Maul being in charge and being run out of Mandalore as well. So I think we might get a bit more in that than we will here. I do think we'll get more snippets than the next 4 episodes go over, where we will get we'll find out who saved him, and we'll probably find out how they took him to Mandalore. I think we'll get a little bit of that more backstory. As long as they just drop little hints, I don't mind, and kind of it's filling in the gaps without having to go. This is a whole episode dedicated to what happened before, because we don't really need it. We're kind of there, and this story has rolled on really nicely and filled us all in with the stuff we need to know about him.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been on a need-to-know basis of the little bits here and there, and that building it up without... You could then, at the end of it, you'll be able to then get the whole story, but because it's done piecemeal, because it's done in little sections, again, I think it could be more armor later on. Maybe it's more Beskar, maybe takes it back off of Grief Karga, so maybe you can get some more plating done. Again, more forging equals more flashbacks. Again, see where that goes. Again, interested to see where the story will go from here. So, of course, at the end of the episode, we have... this. I want to talk about this is a very depressing shot, obviously. Luckily, of course, we now know the happy ending from this particular incident. But yes, that's what I want to talk about. Baby Yoda or Mando, whoever the bounty is now on, whether it be on both of them, could be, and how that will play into the episode, and of course, where these bounty hunters are coming from.
I think with the chips they've all got, I think they're coming from the same place. I think they're coming... Is it Beskar, the original planet where he left?
No,
that's the arm. Sorry, yeah.
Yes,
I think they're all being sent out still exactly the same point. I think they're all coming from the same destination from where the Mandalorian was getting his jobs. I think that's now just being given to everybody. Anybody who's coming in to see Apollo Creed is getting given this and going, look, this is our only bounty right now. This is all that is the big thing. So I think we're going to see more and more of that, definitely more threat towards the two of them. And I think Cara Dune will come back into this story and play a vital third wheel certainly as the last 3 episodes roll out. We've seen, obviously, in the trailer her with the massive blaster shooting out the window, so we know she's coming back in that way. But I think it's a nice touch that we're now, as I say, we changed the story from him being the hunter to now being the hunted. And I really like the fact that, I love the fact that it was aiming at him at first when the bounty hunter was lining up. And then I think he saw the Baby Yoda at that point was a free and easy target. I'm very glad he didn't get shot. It would have been a devastating end after 4 episodes for him. But I really like this, that they've now this big hunted section that no matter where he goes, he knows he's going to be found. So I'm interested in seeing where he thinks he can go next, where that will not be the case, or he'll be more protected.
George?
I am very interested to see where they go next, because they're going to come for Baby Yoda still. We know there's an assassin played, I've forgotten her name, Ming-Na Wen, that's going to be in it soon. So I've got a feeling next episode he'll be still being hunted. But I think it's going to be next episode where, not just from a personal standpoint, for story-wise, they need to not get it back on track. That's the wrong word. But they need to really, whatever's going to happen, I think we're going to know in an episode where we're heading for the final 3 after. I think next episode is going to be integral plot-wise to the rest of the series.
Agreed. And what I liked about, I want to talk about that in a second, but what I really liked about this particular shot right here, and what happens next with the birds and the rest of it, and you heard the blaster, they made you feel actual danger for the child. They shot, the way it was shot and the way that it was played out made you think that they could have done it. I didn't think that was going to be the case, but for a brief second, it does make you believe. And I thought that was very cleverly done.
We're playing with characters that we have no idea where they go after this series. We don't know. We don't know of anything about Baby Yoda in the sequel trilogy. We don't know about the Mandalorian past these episodes as well. And then his helmet and his gun is at Galaxy's Edge, but that's another story for another time. But so we don't know where their endings go. So everybody really is under threat. We know the Mandalorian's obviously going to see through. We're seeing the shooting episode 2 of the Mandalorian. We're not going to see. Don't think we'll see a different person under that mask become the second series. Wouldn't be a weird change. I guess it'd go. You carry on the mantle, but I really like where it's going. I like this whole hold over us where we don't kind of know exactly who's going to get out of this story, especially when it comes to secondary characters being the Baby Yoda, the child, and now Cara Dune. You have no idea of their safety for the series.
No, definitely.
So Diana, conversation from Robin there just messaging me with the fact that we potentially see Pedro Pascal. You see his face in one of the trailers where he's on there's a character on a speeder bike. I'm just looking at the picture sent over. He's from one of the trailers, and I don't agree with that. I really don't think they're going to leave it as that. The character's in completely different clothing. Yes, he could have changed, but again, really not convinced that will be the case. However, thank you for sending that in. Of course, anyone who wishes to comment or based both on the video here or on our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, talk to us. We're more than happy to reply. We'd love discussing the show. But yeah, so as I was saying, I love how cleverly that was shot in the way it made you feel. And as you were saying, Dave, we have no idea what happens to these characters. So it's that legitimate feeling of, well, they could bump them off at any particular time. Yes, we know the season 2 coming, so that ends the speculation of, but in a way, of the Mandalorian surviving. However, again, as you said, it could be someone else under it taking the mantle. So again, it does place characters in danger, and I like that. I like not knowing. When it comes to things like Rebels, we knew where the show was heading, but we didn't know about all the characters. When it came to Rogue One, again, we knew where the ending was, but how they got there, that was the key. And who survived beyond that, again, we knew that they couldn't all survive. We thought Disney wouldn't let them kill everyone, but of course they did, which was fantastic. So again, it gives us that real sense of danger. Of course, I love the fact that Cara Dune then does save it. I'm interested to see where, and this is one of the reasons, again, I love the Mandalorian here, is the fact that you see the smoking blaster hole. They have bumped it up again. We do our resistance breakdown, and the level of graphic detail, shall I say, is different between the two, varies quite a lot. However, I love the way they go into it, and I do think that next episode beyond, agreeing with your point there, George, there's no need to move it forward, but I think they'll take from being hunted to being the hunter and go, no, we need to turn this around on them or else we cannot survive. And this episode proves that in a way. They try and hide. They think they hide successfully. They say, again, they've been there for a number of weeks. They managed to deter off the Raiders. They managed to defeat the ATST. They think they're safe, and it turns out they're not. And I think they really will now go, okay, what can we do here? Yes, we know that Cara Dune's will come back. We know, yes, we have Ming-Na Wen's character coming. We have other people coming. And I think the Imperials that we saw in the trailer will be probably the end game for this particular season. Who this warlord is, what he wants, what they want with Baby Yoda, what they want with what the scientists and all the rest of it, that will be answered, or pose more questions to season 2 with a good ending. But I'm very interested in seeing how they will take it from here. But again, as I said, this episode, I agree with you what you were saying earlier, George. It is filler, but by the time you get to the end of it, there has been enough story involved that you go, okay, we're at the halfway point now. We need to move it forward, but they've given us enough that we can see how they will move it forward and where they'll move it forward to.
No, I agree with that.
Dave, any other thoughts?
Sorry, miles away. I literally just drifted off into a lovely place of thinking about the Mandalorian. So no, I mean, really, just my final thought. I love the pace of the episode. I love the story, the way it was told. I love that. Yes, you're right. We need to maybe move to the next episode where we are going to take the story and not take it much further, but give us a new and what will be probably the final story arc going over the last 4 episodes. So we need to kind of start that with the next one, with the introduction of saying, right, this is what we're going to try and now do. This is the plan. These are our adversaries for it, and then move that towards the episode. I mean, to be 4 episodes away from the series already finishing is absolutely crazy.
And what makes it more amazing is that we've still got 2 Star Wars shows as well as a Mandalorian season 3 to start next year. Every episode goes by. I mean, let's be honest, guys. No one asked for a Cassian TV series. I know that sounds horrible. No one cared. No one asked. But you know what? Seeing how the Mandalorian's gone, I've got such high hopes for the quality of that.
Yeah.
Oh, completely agreed. Also, again, talking about the directors for this show being the last one we had was Deborah Chow. This one was Bryce Dallas Howard. I'm in no way deterred from either of them coming back, especially with Deborah Chow. We know who's directing Kenobi. If they want to bring Bryce Dallas Howard back for more of this, I would love it. Again, also love the little Easter eggs. I got to work with the Loth Cat. The fact they had the Loth Cat in the episode as well made me just so happy. As soon as I saw it, I just jumped up with joy.
Do we think that was live action with CGI face or completely CGI?
Complete CGI, I think.
I thought it might be some form of puppetry, but I say until we get some background sort of thing on there where we get to see behind the scenes, I don't know, and that's kind of brilliant that I don't know if it's real or not, and it makes me even enjoy the show the way they're doing it even more. The fact we've got so much live action in there that I didn't immediately go CGI says to me they're doing it really well.
I thought, I must admit, with the Loth Cat, I thought immediate CGI. The rest of it, no. And the fact that we were talking about the last episode, how Werner Herzog went, you cannot make the child CGI. I think it's played really well, especially with shots like the cockpit where he's playing with the switches. It just works so much better to be this live action complete puppet. And I again, it's why I like the puppet in episode 1 for Yoda. I know I'm in the minority for that with some people, but I liked the puppet. I think it's aged better.
Oh yeah, it aged better, and also it makes it easier to clone it to make real.
Absolutely, that's what they did. They just took that puppet, cloned the puppet, and that's what this is. That's what's going to come down at the end of it. It'll just be this, and this is the episode 1 puppet that we have lying in this tube somewhere. I just love it. I think the series as a whole is going really, really well. It's good. I mean, it's exceeding by far my expectations when the series was given to us. Like, yes, we were excited that we're going to get a Mandalorian show, and we're going to get to see new Star Wars and a new Star Wars TV show surrounded around with Mandalorian. My expectations weren't massively high for it in case, we got to this set stage like, it's okay, it's an all right TV show on Disney Plus, but it's so far exceeded those. I'm absolutely in love with this series.
Yeah, completely agree. It really has exceeded my expectations. I mean, I went into it with high expectations in one part, going, yes, it's Star Wars. I do expect it to have a certain level of quality, but at the same time, I went into it with low expectations, going, it's their first live action TV show. They've got a high bar to beat in terms of the films, but also with the fans' expectations. I'm not sure they'll be able to achieve it. However, I'm willing to give them a complete go at it and what they've done so far. Both, I mean, it's one of the things I was saying to you guys when the show started. It felt like a Star Wars film. Is the fact that the production value, you can see where the money's been spent, but you could see it's been spent wisely. They're not overdone it. It's just been this really nice, consistent level. I think that's lending itself to a good series.
I don't know if anybody here speaks Spanish at all. Unfortunately, I can't read the comment on there.
I used Translate. It was basically saying, can they put it live and in Spanish? So I think that's
right. Okay.
Apologies if this interpretation is wrong, Ramon, but the gist I get was that Disney Plus isn't available in Spain, so it's not available in Spanish.
Yeah. Not yet. Anyways,
which would be the first Spanish-speaking territory you'd assume would get it also.
I would think they'll get it the same day we do, yeah, and I'm guessing they, again, will. I would guess they'll have the audio version selections as well. I hope they do. I think it'll be day one for Disney to have that ready in place for the countries that it's going to go to. As I say, we haven't
the Arabic version, which someone may have found online. Arabic subtitles.
However, thank you for your comment, though. Thank you. I know, yeah, I'd love to see we do have a global audience here for Once of the Force. It makes us, we probably love it. But again, I agree with it. I mean, with Mexico, with European and South American Spanish-speaking countries, again, they will have everything ready for the global. I think part of it being released later is to get a lot of this work done for certain shows. I think they would have done a lot of the legwork already for the last 2-3 years. This isn't when they announced Disney Plus, it wasn't a 5-minute job. They've been building up for a while, so they'll have a back catalogue and they'll have people who've done it in the past. And I think by the time we come to March 31st next year for the major European and part 2 of their launch, I think we'll be seeing it a lot more in different languages.
Definitely the Lizzie McGuire movies. Sorry, what?
To reach their own, I'm afraid there, Dave. But of course, when that does come around, we'll then get Clone Wars in accordance to that as well. So of course, this is the thing. Once the Force of Star Wars podcast, we will not be lacking for content for the years to come. We all knew that the period between Solo and now would be that period for us where we wouldn't have a huge amount to discuss. But of course, now with the Mandalorian, with the Resistance, with Episode 9, with Cassian, Kenobi, anything else that happens on Disney Plus, whatever the next cartoon will be, whatever the next live actions will be, next trilogy will be, which is announced in January, we're going to have a lot of meat at the bone. We'll be here for many years to come. We're happy for that. And of course, we will be meeting up very, very shortly for Episode 9.
Well, in 18 days and 4 hours, gentlemen, we will be sat in the cinema waiting for, or we're just about to start Episode 9.
We'll be starting Last Jedi in 18 hours. 18 days, sorry. In 18 days, we'll be ready for Last Jedi, and I will be at the cinema at this point.
Yes, we will all be together watching. It's crazy how close it is. It's come around so fast, but we are less than 3 weeks away from this movie.
And more importantly, completely relevant podcast, but Christopher Nolan's new film is going to have an IMAX prologue, which I'm going to miss because I'm going to be at the premiere when you will get to watch the trailers. So I've had to live with that. But no, we are so close, and we're so excited to share everything that comes on that day. Fingers crossed.
Well, this is actually relevant to this particular show. Is of course we will have. Yes, Dave will get on to the lovely ones, the Force of Mandalorian show in a second. The other thing that's relevant is, unfortunately, there is an episode of the Mandalorian that drops on December 18th, which wouldn't be a problem usually. However, we will be in London for the UK midnight screening, which happens to be, of course, technically on the 19th, but we'll be the triple bill, so we won't actually have a show for you for the episode of the 18th until
probably that week's got reviews. My issue is that I'm going to be sat there when it launches, queuing in Leicester Square to get it into a pen. Now, I've already anticipated, through the powers that be, I will get a flight, a supersonic, that will get me to America there and back before I go in.
Yes, definitely.
But yes, get the 4G hotspots going, guys.
We're gonna have a lot of time. We're gonna get we've got so much kind of coming out with the film, and then obviously the episode of Mandalorian at the same time as well. So it's going to be kind of a really busy few days, but we will come out with a schedule of when we'll be talking about everything. So we do like to get this out as quickly as possible. Obviously, the episodes come out the Friday. We like to air them on the Saturday, so we get a day to kind of look at it, and then.
However, we'll have an episode on the Wednesday and the Friday.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome times. We'll do very much our best to get all the new information out here and reviews that we've got coming.
Indeed. But I think that's about it for this particular episode, guys. Any final closing thoughts?
Just that I really liked it. For something that you're right was a bit of a filler episode, and the fact it gave me Clone Wars feels and how awesome the child was in it, and the ATST was lovely to see. There were nods everywhere. I really liked it. I really enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, George?
It was good fun. It wasn't what I expected, but I enjoyed what I got from it. And I'm intrigued to see if Bryce Dallas Howard does come back to Star Wars, seeing as Mandalorian Season 2 is filming there, and she'll be filming Jurassic World when Cassian starts in London. So that could be interesting. You never know what connections we might get there, both at the same studio. So I am excited to see what comes next. I'm very intrigued for the next episode. However, I won't be here to cover it with you guys because I'm going to miss everything this week due to ridiculous plans.
We have some scheduling conflicts. So yes, anything that you will see, we'll have our Resistance review on Monday. If Phil is available and around, we'll be doing that.
Yep.
Our regular fortnightly show will be Wednesday still. Phil and I will be taking that, as George has some conflicts of interestness over other places and doing other stuff, and has a life outside these podcasts. So we'll allow that this time.
I've got something on every day from Tuesday night through to Sunday. I don't think I've ever had 6 days in a row, right, of stuff planned that hasn't involved Star Wars as well.
Like, especially this time of year now with all this stuff, it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like when episode 8 came, I think I had 4 days in a row of Star Wars things, and I was like, crikey, like this is intense. And then it's like, now it's like, here are non-Star Wars things that are occupying your week, but I will still see The Mandalorian on Friday. It's more just the evening my issue.
Yes, we'll be here. Yeah. Phil and I will be back next Saturday to talk all about episode 5 of The Mandalorian. But yeah, so that is, I think that's us all done for the evening.
Indeed, although before we get into it, of course, I am sporting our lovely vintage Star Wars the Force Star Wars podcast shirt. George has got our solo Star Wars the Force Star Wars shirt. And of course, Dave, do you want to talk about our new addition to the shop?
Oh, this beautiful shirt. If you are watching along now, and I'm trying not to be too chesty, getting this thrust into the camera. But yes, we have our new Ones with the Force design t-shirt. It's in line. The logo is the Mandalorian font with the Mandalorian in the O of the Force, and it's got the little moisture evaporator in there as well. Looks beautiful on this grey t-shirt as well. So you know what? If you want to support this podcast, you can get over to TeePublic and go to search for OWTF, Ones of the Force, and go pick my t-shirt. It's been their Black Friday sale, so I'm sure they're still very reasonable. But even if not, get one. They're amazing.
They are indeed. And of course, we have other things and other shirts on there, of course, because we have our vintage one. We have our OWTF. There we go, OWTF one. We also have our Far, Far Away star. We have our Clone Wars star. We have plenty of stars on there. It's all good. I have to unfortunately now include this particular one here.
No, demonetized because of Dave splashing. And you know what? That's absolutely fine. I'm willing to take them on the chin.
Indeed you are. But however, yes, that is of course us for the week. So as Dave alluded to, we will be back with our Resistance breakdown on Monday. We'll be back with our regular fortnightly show on the Wednesday and our Mandalorian show next Saturday as well. George unfortunately not be able to join us for any of those episodes. I mean, however, we'll sure have his comments and thoughts ready to present to you as well. But as per usual, I want to say is thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find the audio for this version later on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify. You can find the video course on our YouTube page and our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Once the Force Stars Podcast at the Force Podcast. You can find our merch down below in our TeePublic store. Again, we've already mentioned that. So all I have to say is thank you very much. We Ones the Force. May the Force Stars be with you. Good night.